Hello everybody, my name is Zen and welcome to our guide for Story Mode Titan 6, the second boss inside Scum and Villainy. This fight only has 2 phases and you should be able to master it fairly quickly. The first phase requires a fair amount of precision, where the second phase, that begins at 20%, is merely a burn phase, quite literally. This giant robot has several abilities that he will be casting during phase 1. The first is an ability called Lots of Missiles, which is aptly named since it will fire off a large amount of missiles to each raid member. This damage can't be avoided, and you should have your raid spread out during this ability since the missiles do AoE damage when they hit their target. Also, try not to be moving around a whole lot during this ability if you can avoid it, since you may accidentally drop missiles on top of somebody else. His second ability is Airstrike. During this ability, Titan 6 will launch high-damaging missiles throughout the entire room, and the location of which these missiles will be landing is dictated by red circles on the ground. Avoid these circles at all costs by moving completely out of them. Also, try to stay spread out, just like with the first ability. This will reduce the likelihood of you placing a circle beneath another group member. The third ability that he does is a set of missiles that he shoots in a straight line whichever way he's looking, so the tank should keep him faced away from the group. And the fourth ability that he does is less significant on story mode than it is on hard mode, but he will knock the tank into the ground, stunning him for a few seconds. You can use your breakout ability to get out of it if you need to. The last ability Titan 6 will do during phase 1 is called Launch. This is a channeled ability that will give you a very brief window to hide behind one of the many rocks within the room. When Titan 6 launches, a massive blast wave will emanate from his location. This will one-shot you if you are caught out. However, sorcerers and sages are able to use their immunity bubbles in order to survive the blast if they can't get behind a rock in time. The rocks will have an icon behind them, indicating that you can get behind it. You will know that you are safe when your character crouches down. The further you are away from the boss, the longer you have to find a rock, since the blast wave moves slowly and has to reach you first. Melee are obviously affected the soonest, and ranged may have a few extra seconds to find a rock. It's also worth noting that on story mode, you can hide multiple people behind a single rock. Once the boss launches, he will move to another area of the room, and the whole phase will repeat. It's important to note that the boss will always go to these locations, and I've marked each one sequentially so you know where to go after each launch. The last thing that happens during phase 1 is that Titan probes will spawn. 2 probes will spawn directly after the boss casts Airstrike, and these probes should be focused down quickly by the DPS before attacking the boss again. Also, right after the boss uses launch, 6 probes will spawn. You should quickly stack up and AoE them down before attacking the boss again. You will continue repeating phase 1 until the boss hits 20% health. Once this happens, it starts phase 2, which is the burn phase. During this phase, the boss will kneel down and begin to cast a few abilities. The first is Missile Burst, which will launch missiles into the air randomly at the raid. These missiles do AoE damage when they hit their target, so remain spread out. The second ability the boss casts during phase 2 is a Flame Burst. This ability shoots fire in a circle around him, doing AoE damage around the entire boss. It's a good idea not to stand in the fire. Also, tanks should not require a huge amount of heals during this phase. It will mostly be raid-wide damage. The strategy for this boss is fairly simple. First, before you start the fight, try to determine if you need to assign specific rocks at each boss location for the melee and for the tanks. This keeps them organized and alive, since they are the ones that are most vulnerable during the launch. Second, you should determine where your group will stack to kill the 6 Titan probes that spawn after a launch. For us, we always stack next to the boss, that way our AoE damage is also damaging the boss. You will want to kill these probes quickly, since you are racing to kill them before the ability Lots of Missiles happens, which you need to be spread out for. As a little tip, make sure you are quick to stack, especially healers, since the probes will usually go after them first, and then quick to spread out. During phase 1, the boss will always cast Lots of Missiles first, followed by Airstrike, and then a second Lots of Missiles. Once he casts the second Lots of Missiles, he will begin to cast Launch directly afterwards. The cadence is the same each time, and eventually it will become like second nature for you to know what is coming next. Continue repeating Phase 1 until you get the boss to 20% health. Try to spread out and prepare for the burn phase at about 22%. Have your healers and DPS in the same general area so they all can be in range of heals, and have your melee determine where they will stand next to the boss, that way they aren't accidentally hitting each other with the missile bursts. Burn through the last 20% of his HP using any defensive cooldowns as needed to stay alive, and then collect your loot from his metallic corpse. And on that note, leave any feedback or discussion in the comments section of this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, and we shall see you guys next time.